So anyway, at the beginning of 2011, I had a big decision to make. Did I want to continue with my ad agency, or did I want to take this opportunity and go to Washington, D.C. for training and then be assigned to a post somewhere in the world?
Right.
So, me, I just said, this is another adventure. So I sold my house, I sold my partnership, I packed me and my dog and 2 cats in this little sports car with a lot of my things and drove to Washington, D.C.
So
started a whole new career.
So your daughter's away now?
Yeah, she was, at that time, 2011, she was just about to graduate. Yeah, she was graduating from Vanderbilt with her undergraduate degree. And she went on to Harvard also to get her master's.
Okay, beautiful.
So I got to go to her graduation, which was cool. I was still in D.C. So I had to go through 8 or 9 months of training. And the second month, they brought me and the 89 other foreign service officers, newly minted foreign service officers, into this huge room, and they made announcements. Where's your first post going to be? And it could be anywhere in the world, or you could be assigned a domestic assignment. And because I had the Arabic, I thought, they're going to send me to Egypt. I even got extra points to passing the Egyptian Arabic test.
Right.
And so I thought, I'm going to Egypt, somewhere, Jordan, like that. And they announced my name, and they said, John Elliott, you're going to Rio de Janeiro, Brazil.
Oh.
Now, I spoke Spanish, right? But I didn't speak a word of Portuguese.
Of course, yeah.
So all of my fellow foreign service officers were very jealous of me, and I felt I didn't deserve this honor,
Right.
It was just a big shock. And so I had to go through a crash course for 4 months and transferring my Spanish to Portuguese. And then I was brought down to Rio de Janeiro, right off Ipanema Beach. And this lavish 5-bedroom apartment in the middle of a luxurious neighborhood, because they were worried about security in the other neighborhoods. And I did that for 2 years. I was a vice consul. I adjudicated people as they came to the window to see if they could get a visa to come to the USA. And I did a lot of fraud prevention and a lot of other things. Of course, all the time I'm taking pictures in Brazil.
Yeah, you still continue.
Yeah, and you'll see
the Human Pulse.
The Human Pulse series. This is one of my books on the Human Pulse,
right,
which is available here at the Chelsea Art Center. You'll see about 10 pictures from Brazil here, because there was so much of interest to me for the Human Pulse. The Brazilians are very animated to begin with,
right,
generally speaking. So I was living the life, I would take a lot of chances. I would go, because I'm interested in the most impoverished people, I would go into the slums, which are called favelas.
Favelas, yes.
And I went to 7 favelas against the wishes of our security team.
Of course.
They said, you can't go in there, you shouldn't go there, and blah, blah, blah. I went in there, and I had a great time. The people I met in there, they were looking out for me. They were very kind and courteous. I never had any problems with crime. I never had my camera looked at. People, once you go in to an area where people are imperiled, you're part of them. They're going to look out for you, generally speaking. Unless you say something stupid and insulting.
Yes.
So this is a continuation of my knowledge about humanity, that if you have a friendly demeanor and you're not posturing and you're humble,
right,
and you want to learn their language, you want to learn their food, you want to learn what life is like, and you show an interest, even if they are criminal, a lot of times you can befriend them and they'll say, hey, take my picture.
Wow. So you are now you've gone inside of the fabric down in Rio of the human pulse itself. And you are now a part of the real deal, behavior, how people interact, all these different things. the whole color, the color of the spaces from the buildings and all of that. You are now inside there. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So this is now the human pulse is being developed, and you are making your way to Chelsea Arts Center, which is where we are, thanks to Barbara Fife. So the Chelsea Arts Center is John Elliott's work. You are here for, I think you
Through
go
December.
up until December 15th.
Yeah, 2023.
So folks could come down and check out your work. So tell us about this exhibit that currently exists here at the Chelsea Arts Center.
All right. So Dr. Fife was very kind to me and allowed me to show works from two of my series. One is The Human Pulse, but the other is Walls and Spaces.
Beautiful.
So this is Walls and Spaces back here.
Right.
I've got a total of 40 framed photographs from both series. And so on both, you've got pictures from around the world. And I've been to almost 60 countries. A lot of these countries are represented in these pictures.
Right.
There are also USA pictures.
Okay.
But a lot of them were taken in Brazil. This one that you can see over here, it was taken
This is the
in
big
Brazil.
one. Yes,
Yeah, this is one of the big
behind
ones.
me.
And I should
pull
mention
up.
that before I entered before I went down to Brazil, I had to learn Portuguese, and I had a tutor. I had 4 tutors. One of them ended up becoming my wife.
Oh.
And so we were doing this virtually. I met her down there in Brazil in person after a couple months, and we hit it off, and we ended up marrying the year after.
Which means your language of speaking Spanish,
Portuguese. Yeah.
would even be stronger
Oh,
because
yeah.
you're now living with the tutor.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
beautiful.
And then when I was assigned from an ex assignment to Saudi Arabia, by that time we were married, and Becky came with me, and then shortly, in the second year I was there, she became pregnant.
Right.
Shocking me,
Right.
she showed me the blue thing
Right,
on
right,
the
right.
stick
Here
and
you
said,
go.
Guess what? This is Father's Day, and I was like, wait a minute, this is deja vu. I did this 26 years ago.
Yes.
So again,
The human pulse
entered it. Yeah, the human pulse was still going. I guess so.
Yeah.
So Diana was born in D.C. I had to curtail my assignment by a couple months and return to D.C. where I had 7 domestic assignments.
Right.
And Diana was born at George Washington Hospital, and so Diana is now 7, and
Right.
she's very much a part of my life. And I take her to school, pick her up, make everything for her, and help her through her challenges of life. So Diana helped me set this photography show up.
Oh, that's
and she
beautiful.
took pictures of me setting it up. So it's all come full circle,
Yes.
where Danielle helped me with a big photography show I had in Brazil. Now Diana's helping me with this.
That's beautiful.
10 years later, sorry,
Yeah.
because my big show in Brazil was 10 years ago. So to getting back to your question, the Walls and Spaces are here in one of the galleries, and then in the library is the Human Pulse.
Human pulse, okay.
And I had to be very selective because there's not a lot of space in the library. But when you all come and visit this exhibition, I think you'll see representative images that show the diversity of humanity, the excitement. You've got the full spectrum of emotions and joy and reflection and also challenges. Now, the Human Pulse also has an ulterior motive, which is to shine a light on the challenges that people have in living in darkness and
Right.
difficulty.
I see.
And so you don't see any in this exhibit because I had to kind of mainstream it, but the whole series, when you look at the book or when you go on thehumanpulse.com,
Right.
you'll see images that show human trafficking, child labor,
Okay. Okay.
extreme poverty,
Right.
but
Right.
not in a gory way. It's showing the humanity, the full spectrum of humanity, and that's really what the Human Pulse is all about.
Okay, beautiful. And of course, we will show you the human pulse that's in the library, and of course walls and spaces, you will see some of these wonderful photographs coming up on the screen. So folks want to get in touch with you to buy the book and to buy these wonderful photographs. You did call, you said your website just now. What is that website again?
Yeah, www.thehumanpulse.com.
Thehumanpulse.com. Email?
Well, JE@thehumanpulse.com.
Okay, and they'll find that on the website. Yeah, JE.
Yeah, yeah, they'll find that on the website. And also on the website, I started putting stories about my photography. And I took some of my journals, going back even to when I was covering the Republican and Democratic conventions as a teenager.
Mm-hmm.
You've got stories about that. I've got an expose on the cruelty that goes on in Saudi Arabia, where I witnessed the whipping of somebody. His only crime was that he started a blog that was talking about the possibility of change in Saudi Arabia, and they put him in. They gave him a sentence of 1,000 lashes. I was there for the first 50 lashes. I documented that. And the U.S. Embassy in Saudi Arabia had no idea that I was there, because I could have gotten in a lot of trouble. And so there's all sorts of stories in the blog. And I think that might be enlightening. If you go to the website, you go to the blog stories, you'll see a little bit more of some of the ways that I'm able to navigate.
Yes.
And some of it is done through chutzpah, but the Yiddish say chutzpah. And some of it is done through, like I covered the MAGA convention last year with the pro-Trumpers and pro-DeSantis.
Right.
I wore a red hat and I wore a red shirt. So I got all sorts of interesting pictures from that.
Beautiful.
And sometimes you got to do a little bit of subterfuge in order to get the real story.
Of course.
That's what it's about.
Yeah. Like I said, I mean, your story is magnificent. There's a whole lot more stuff I'm sure we haven't touched on, but I think you need to be looking into Netflix to see if you could get a documentary on your story, because it's really, and I like the mirror aspect of you now being a single parent dad, and you have your two daughters that you are taking care of, and you are in their life. That's brilliant. So all of John's work, you will see it on the screen. Go to his website, check him out. You want to come down to the Chelsea Art Center to check out his exhibit. It goes up until December 15th. John,
Thank you.
Thank you for enlightening us out here about, your journey. I am pretty certain this will resonate with a lot of people, because your journey is a humane one. And for you to end up in some of these areas and be untouched, I think if I look behind, I may see an angel sitting on your back.
Yeah. Well, I agree.
Yeah.
And I can't say that I was untouched. For example, when I was down in Haiti in 2010, I was working in the most extreme situations with this organization I started, Aid West.
Aid West.
I came back and I had to go through a lot of therapy for PTSD. And that was that was the crucible for me.
Right.
So I wouldn't say I'm as in touch, but you're right. Very blessed, and there is definitely, I think we all have a reason for existence.
Yes.
My life is half over. Let's see what the other half is like.
I see. This is the Ocala Arts and Entertainment Podcast, and your host, Sean Thomas. I've been hanging out here with the great John Elliott, so make sure to come check his exhibition out down at the Chelsea Arts Center. It's here until December 17th. Thanks again, John.
All right. Thank you, sir.
All right, brother.